Hi, I'm Anthony, and you are watching Coding with Anthony, and today we're going to work with HTML forms, specifically radio buttons, and we're going to create a quiz that's similar to this one right here, and we're going to basically have all this functionality. So if we select different features, let me refresh the quiz. So what is the best programming language? JavaScript. Which is the coolest website? My website, of course. What animal makes the best pet? Well, I guess an oyster. Where's Waldo? He's on the moon. And who is the mortal enemy of the knights who say knee? Shrubbery! Yeah, I got 5 out of 5. And as you can see, it'll update here. So, alright, to begin with, we're going to create a folder on the desktop. And we'll call it form, radio button form. That's what I'm going to call it. Inside that folder, we're going to create a new text document. And we're going to call it form.html, and then we're going to create a folder to hold the style sheets called CSS. We're going to create a folder to hold the JavaScript called JS, and we got to create files in each of those folders. So we're going to go to new text document, and we're in JavaScript, so we're going to call this one script.js. And then we go into the CSS folder, and we're going to create a new text document here called stylesheet.css. Okay. Now that we've done that, let's go over here and let's see. We're going to add a project folder. This is Atom, which is what I'm working with. Otherwise, you would just edit each one individually. So radio button form is what I called it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open the HTML form that we created, and let's start creating the document. So we start with the head tag, title, another quiz by Anthony, and then we got to link to our style sheet. So this is going to be CSS style sheet dot CSS. Let me make sure that's right. Yeah. Style sheet dot CSS. Okay, and then we got to do a rel equals style sheet. That accesses our style sheet file that we've created, and the rel tells it what type it is. It's almost always that. And here's for our JavaScript. Script source equals script js/script.js. We gotta close that one. Okay. Let's close the head. Now let's create a body. Let's close the body. And let's close the HTML. Alright, now in the body we're going to create our header by creating a div, and we're going to store the class of header in it. And then we don't want to close that right there because we're going to have a class inside it to hold the score. We'll call it results. Okay. And in the header, we're going to want to create an h1 tag and call it Anthony's Goofy Quiz. I don't know. That sounds good to me. And in our results, we're going to have an h2 tag, and it's going to say, let's make it the same as this. So You scored. Not yet attempted. Okay. So now that we got our header done, now we're going to make another div, and we're going to give it the class of body. And close it. And open a spot for us in here. Okay, so now we're going to create the form. So we're going to do a, let's see here, form name equals quiz, so we can access it later. Value, not value. On submit, so when the submit button is pressed, we're going to call this method that we're going to create later in JavaScript, and we need to return it. Okay, and we're going to want, oh no, we're not going to want that. Okay, so that's good right there. Okay, so now we're going to want another div to hold our questions. Question. Okay, so now that we got that there, we're going to build some radio buttons. So it's going to be input type equals radio name equals Q1, and name is how it groups these buttons together. So this is going to be, the value it returns is A. Okay. Let's do we gotta come up with a question. So we'll just go with what is the best color in the rainbow? I don't know. I'm just making things up as I go along. Okay, so we're gonna do A. We'll say red, and close that off, and then let's make this a little smaller. Okay, we're gonna paste this 4 times so we get 4 questions. Remember, the name stays Q1 because that's the grouping. So they're grouped by the name of Q1. And we want each question to have a different value. Well, this is going to be B, C, and D. And let's just come up with some more reds. The colors blue, brown, and purple. And pink. I like pink. Just playing. Well, I guess I do. But it's going to be the answer to the quiz for this one. So now we've got this question done. Okay, so now we could just copy this question. I was going to do 5 questions on this quiz, so 3, 4, 5. So now I have to come up with 5 questions. Who is the coolest person in the world? We're going to start with, let's see. I don't know. I'm trying to think of some people. I'm not the best at this. Donald Trump. Easy for me to think of this. Ted Cruz. Stephen Hawking. And well, just throw Hillary Clinton. Of course, the answer to that is definitely Stephen Hawking. The other people are all lame, but Stephen Hawking is cool. As a matter of fact, that'll be my next question. Who is the smartest scientist in the, let's just say, who's the smartest scientist currently living? So we're gonna have Stephen Hawking, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Michio Kaku, or, so funny, I know so many scientists, and now that I'm on the spot, I can't remember anymore. What was his name? Alex Filipenko. I probably butchered that guy's name. Okay, so we got. Oh, we have to go. I'm sorry, we forgot to change the question value. To we have to change it to the grouping, so we want 3s here, 4, and 5. Let's, for question 5, let's say, who was the best president? Alright, we got Andrew Jackson, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, George Washington. Okay, and so we got Q5. Everything's looking good. We just have to go back to question 2 and come up with a question 2. What is the coolest? What is the funniest? Oh yeah, I want to do the Knights Who Say Knee. I don't know if you've seen Monty Python and Search for the Holy Grail. What is the mortal enemy of the Knights Who Say Knee? Is it King Arthur? Is it I don't know. I'm not the best on the spot. Who did I say before? Oh yeah, I just came up with random stuff. Dragons, shrubbery, which we know that's the right answer. And Legolas. Okay. It doesn't really matter what we put in here, it's just trying to have a little fun while we do this. Okay, so now we gotta, let's see, where does this div belong to? That's the body, okay. So now we need to do a new button, type equals submit. So this is our submit button. Submit test. Okay, now let's save this. And let's see it in the browser. Alright, so now we have our quiz, looking good. So next thing we're going to want to work on is our style sheet. So let's pull that up. So we're going to start off with a body. And on the body, I'm sorry, not body, we want to start off with a header. And the header, let's see, we're going to want background image of linear gradient. And with Atom browser, I got this, or the Atom IDE, I have an awesome thing, the color picker. So let's make it, I don't know, let's make it blue. So let's change it to hex. So we put in a couple hex colors here, and we'll get darker blue this time. Oh man, I forgot to change it to hex. It'd probably work. I've never tried it. I'm just used to using hex here. So we want a darker blue. And for our third part of the gradient, we're going to choose a very dark blue. Okay, so let's save this and refresh. Now we have a gradient. Okay, so we want to align the text in the center. We want to make the color of the text. I'm going to make it a light, let's see, probably just yellow is fine. And we're going to want a border radius of 10 px. This will give us rounding on it. And we want we want padding of 1010, which gives us a little bit of space around the edge. So, or it doesn't. Oh, whoops, I forgot this part. You always got to have a colon in there. So that's going to give us some space on the top and the bottom. Okay, that looks good. So let's do the body. And we're going to do a text align center. We're going to need a border style. We're going to do solid. We're going to need a border of 3 on each side, 3 pixels thick on each side. So let's save that and take a look. Alright, looking good. We need a radius, a border radius. 10 pix again. That'll round out the corners. We need a margin top of 10 pixels. Let's see, that's 5 pixels. That'll give us some space between the form and that and the header. Okay, so that's looking good. I think that's all I want to do there. And then now we need to do the question formatting. We can just take this here because a lot of it's the same. So let's copy and paste that in there, except for we want margin left to be maybe 15% and margin right to be 15%. And we need a background color to be gray, a light gray. So we're gonna do I think this is it right here. That's really close to white, just to make it differentiated, and there we go. Alright, we're gonna need I gotta put all this in one margin tag. And 5px to that so we could get some space in between. Margin bottom. Oh, we need padding. Margin creates this space, this little space here. Padding is internal spacing. So let's see. Yeah, see, now we got the spacing there. Okay, so it's time to make the test functional. So let's go into our JavaScript file. First thing I'm going to do is create our function on submit is what we called it. So this is going to be called when we go into the form and we click the submit button. And as you can see at the form, we did return on submit, which goes and calls the on submit function when it's the button's clicked. So let's do a test to make sure it's working. And now we're going to type that in and we're going to save that. Refresh, and let's just go to the bottom and click Submit Test. And it comes up with it's working, so we know the function is working. Alright, so we're going to need some variables here. We need a variable to store the score. Start it off at 0, and we're going to need a variable to hold the number of questions. Just because if you ever need to change it, you just change the variable at the top. We need an array of answers to store all the answers to the quiz. So this is, let's see, what is the best color in the rainbow? Well, I don't know. Red is, I think, the only color on that list. That maybe is there blue? Yeah, there's blue too. Duh. Okay, so red is A. Knights who say neat are scared of a shrubbery. Who's the coolest person in the world? Definitely out of that list, it's Stephen Hawking. Who's the smartest scientist currently living? I have to say it's Stephen Hawking again, although I think all of them are awesome, guys. Oh man, it's such a hard call. I like Neil deGrasse. I like them all. Alex is really smart too. They're all smart. This is a bad question. Let's change the question. Let's give it one extra value because I am like stumped. Question 4, value E, and I'm going to say all of the above. All right, click on save. All right, and click refresh. So now we have all of the above. So that's going to make our life easier. All of the above, and finally, who is the best president? Well, that's easy. George Washington. Okay. The first thing we want to do is get our questions and store them into the answers to the questions and store them into a variable. So we go to the document, .forms, quiz. This is where we access the quiz, and here's where we access the question. All right, now let's see. We want to we'll make this a variable, and we Control C. All right, change this all accordingly. Let's make sure we could read the value of, I don't know, we'll just choose 1. Okay, and question 5, so this should return whatever choice we chose. Okay, so we'll choose George Washington, should return a D, and it does, so we know it's working. Okay, so now we want to create a check. We want to create a conditional if statement to check to make sure that we didn't miss any questions. So we're going to start a for loop. I equals 0. We have to start at 1 because it's question number 1. I less than equal to num of questions, I plus plus. And now we create a conditional statement if, and we have to eval. The eval will basically take a string and attach it to a variable. So that basically means that eval q plus I will do I. So if I is 1, it'll be question 1 equals empty string. We will say alert, you missed question number, and then we do plus I. Okay, the next thing we need to do is tally up the score. for var I equals 1, I less than equal to num of questions, I plus plus. So now we're going to do another eval statement, eval q plus I equals the answers array I, and we have to do -1 because array is offset by 1. And if that statement is true, so if the question we submitted equals the answer in the array, then we do score plus plus, and that'll add 1 to our score. Finally, we have to output it. So we're going to create a variable called results and store our document dot get element by ID, and we type in the ID. So this basically grabs, it's not supposed to be that, it's supposed to be a parentheses. Okay, so this goes into our HTML form and goes and grabs this area here, and whatever we want to do, anything we want to add to that, we just add to the results that variable we just created. So results dot inner HTML equals h2 you scored, concatenate it with score, okay, out of you scored, oh, we gotta put a space here too, points out of num of questions, and then we gotta close our h2 tag. Okay, and we also want to alert our user their score. So you scored score. Oh, we gotta put a space here, and then out space here, out of plus num of questions. Okay. Alright, so let's save this and try it out. Okay, what's the best color in the rainbow? Red. Who is the mortal enemy of the knights who say knee? A shrubbery. Who is the coolest person in the world? Stephen Hawking's from that list. Who is the smartest scientist currently living? All of above. And who is the best president? George Washington. So if we did this right, it should alert us that we got 5 out of 5 correct. And it didn't. So that means I have an error in here somewhere. Okay, so I figured out where our problems are. I got a few typos in here. We need a closing bracket for this for statement. There's one too many brackets at the end. We need to put a return statement in here. And in our form file, we need to change this to ID from class ID on the results ID. And now we save it. And let's try the test. First, let's not fill out any questions. It'll tell us each one we missed. And oh, I got a test file in there. Where is that test coming from? Oh, there it is. Delete. That's not in yours. That's just in mine. Okay. And we should answer the tests. And it should tell us. So we got 4 out of 5. And here we are. We scored 4 points out of 5. Well, I hope this video helped you. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks for watching.